In 1965, a World War II patrol walked out of a forest. They believed it was March 1945. They believed the war was still ongoing. According to every official military record, those men had been dead for 20 years. Their uniforms were clean, their weapons were intact, their faces showed exhaustion, but not age. When the first officer asked them what year it was, the patrol leader answered without hesitation. March 1945. The officer didn't argue. He didn't correct him. He simply turned his clipboard around. It read 1965. For a moment, no one spoke. Not disbelief, not panic, just silence. Disciplined, restrained, confused silence. That silence marked the beginning of a case no official report would ever fully explain. 20 years earlier, the patrol had vanished during a routine reconnaissance mission near a heavily forested border zone. No distress signal, no enemy contact, just a final radio transmission that cut off mid-sentence. At the time, the disappearance barely stood out. Patrols went missing constantly. Forests swallowed men whole. Files were stamped. Names were added to casualty lists. The war ended. Families mourned. History moved forward until the patrol walked back out. The men were detained immediately, not as prisoners, but as impossibilities. Their identification papers were authentic, aged naturally, stamped with unit codes long retired. Their weapons were obsolete but functional. Their posture, speech, and discipline reflected training frozen in time. They asked for updated orders. They asked why checkpoints were unmanned. They asked why no one recognized their insignia. One soldier froze when a jet aircraft screamed overhead. He grabbed the nearest officer and demanded to know which side had developed such a weapon. No one laughed. Within an hour, medical examinations began, and within minutes the case took a turn no one was prepared for. Doctors found no signs of long-term starvation, no bone density loss, no cellular aging, no physiological markers consistent with 20 years of exposure, captivity, or survival. Their teeth showed wear consistent with men in their 20s, not their 40s. Their muscles showed fatigue, recent fatigue, the kind expected after a long march, not decades. Then came the stomach analysis. The food inside them had been eaten less than 4 hours earlier. Fragments of military rations were identified. The batch numbers were verified. The issuance date traced back to early 1945. The packaging should have degraded long ago. It hadn't. Chemical testing revealed something worse. The rations had not aged. Not slowly, not abnormally. They hadn't aged at all. One lab memo, never included in the final report, stated plainly, if time passed for the subjects, it did not pass for the materials in their possession. No explanation followed. Questioning began. Separately, repeatedly, every account matched. They remembered entering the forest just before dusk. They remembered poor visibility and mounting irritation. Not fear, not panic, just the sense that movement wasn't producing progress. They remembered checking their compasses. They remembered arguing quietly about direction. They remembered the feeling that the forest was static, not hostile, still. Sergeant William Kessler, the patrol leader, spoke calmly throughout the interviews, but his hands shook when he spoke about the deeper sections of the forest. It wasn't dangerous, he said carefully. That's what made it worse. There was no gunfire, no enemy presence, just quiet, like the war stopped there. He admitted they had seen something overhead. Not aircraft as they understood it, something faster, something louder. They assumed it was experimental, a weapon neither side had announced. No one considered the alternative. As they moved deeper, landmarks repeated. A fallen tree appeared again, unbroken, unchanged. One soldier joked that they were walking in circles. No one laughed. Radio contact faded, not into static, but silence, as if their transmissions were being absorbed rather than interrupted. Their watches began to disagree, not by minutes, by hours. Arguments followed, quiet ones, professional ones, the kind that happen when men trust instruments more than instincts, and both start to fail. Then they found the road. It wasn't on any map. It cut through the forest in a perfectly straight line, smooth, black, seamless. The surface wasn't dirt or stone. It reflected faint light like polished glass. The youngest soldier asked if it was concrete. Another said he'd never seen anything like it. Sergeant Kessler ordered them away immediately. No one argued. Standing near that road felt like standing somewhere they weren't meant to be. The final moment before their return stayed with them the longest. They heard a radio broadcast. Not enemy chatter, not friendly signals. A distant transmission referencing a conflict none of them recognized. A war that hadn't happened yet. They listened in silence, trying to parse words that felt familiar and impossible at the same time. Then the signal vanished. Moments later, the forest ended. They stepped into a clearing and found vehicles they didn't recognize, uniforms they didn't understand, weapons far beyond anything they had trained with.